What's up with it do, cyber world? It is your girl, the one and only Ash Brown, and this is my weekly recap, commentary, summary, prediction, perhaps, of HBO Max's House of the Dragon. This is season 2. We are now at episode 2. All right, so I'm going to be sharing basically my commentary on the stuff because I'm like yelling and screaming at the TV just since season 1. It's just had me in a chokehold. So this episode, we start things off with after the killing of Jaehaerys or Jaehaerys. I forget. It's too many J names. But anyways, Aegon's oldest son, who I think was like 6 or something, he, of course, was murdered and his head detached. Which, yeah, that's pretty dramatic. It was a baby, Did y'all have to do the baby like that? Well, so Aegon, for the first time, his character is showing, I won't necessarily say depth, but definitely he's showing his range. He's definitely showing his range. Because before we saw Aegon, he was very unsure of everything. He's asking and looking for reassurance from Otto. He really doesn't understand the job of being king. And with the killing of his son, it's like all of a sudden a spark like goes off inside of him. And you're like, yes, Aegon, show rage. Yes, get angry so your sister can beat your ass. That's how I feel. That's where I'm at with it. I really am. Rhaenyra is the rightful heir. I'm sorry. People are going to feel a way about it. Alicent, I don't know what the heck she was thinking. And just, I feel like, Viserys was... He didn't say that. Everybody know when people are dying and they're just going through and they're at the end of their life, they just say a whole bunch of stuff that don't even make sense. But that's neither here nor there. So Aegon is showing anger and rage, and the thing about it is, again, he doesn't fully understand his position as king. And he can't just go off and just blow a top because he's king and he's feeling in the moment. So Otto kind of knows how to calm his grandson down and just be like, look, we are going to make the best of this. We're going to make the most of this. Aegon initially felt like it was Rhaenyra and just went off on a whole tangent about starting a war with her. Otto and some of the other council members was like, look, we don't know if it was her or not. It could have been any number of people because we have a lot of enemies. You have a lot of enemies. So let's not just go off on a limb and assume it's her. But Otto wanted to take the route of curving the public opinion of what Rhaenyra is. And he's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a funeral. We're going to take the boy's body throughout the town. We're going to let people see this body and we're going to blame Rhaenyra. Essentially, we're going to blame her. And they're going to call her, Rhaenyra the Terrible, or Rhaenyra the Cruel. It was some crazy stuff they were saying. And so they thought that the best way to fully get people more on their side and more siding with them was to have Helaena and Alicent to ride behind the body in the procession. Alicent, you could tell, she really ain't want, like, she is like the world's worst mom. She really didn't want to do it. She didn't want to do it. And I started thinking, why is Alicent just a terrible mom? Why is she so freaking horrible? Well, she was a kid herself when Otto had basically, tricked her or manipulated her into getting with Viserys because he wanted control. He wanted his family in with the king. He wanted his family royalty, and he got it. But I think that she was so young and she didn't realize what she was really, truly agreeing to and what she was really getting herself and getting her life into. And I feel like because she was forced into that marriage, she had to just, lay up with the man and bear 4 children, not 3, 4. We're going to get into that later. And I just feel like she was put into that position so quick, so fast. She didn't get to enjoy the rest of her years. And so with that, there's this weird disconnect with her and her kids. Like, you see her, she's never really comforting her kids, like holding them or hugging them or just trying to de-escalate situations. She is just very hands off as a mom. And I think a part of that is because I don't know when her mother passed, but I just feel like she just doesn't know how to connect with her kids. So the best thing that she can do is, make sure that they have a good life, a decent life or whatever. So it's just a weird combination. She's just, and we'll get into more as to why I believe she is the world's worst mother on television right now. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to put that out into the universe. Okay, and I'm kind of going everywhere, so I'm not necessarily following the episode per se. I'm just kind of putting my highlights on it, so I may jump out of some ideas. I might jump into some more ideas. You just don't know. So in the funeral procession, you see Rhaenyra and Alicent, and at one point the carriage gets stuck in like a ditch or something, and they're trying to get it out, and Helena's having like a full-on anxiety panic attack, y'all. I think she didn't fully understand or know what position that she was taking as queen and, sister to the king. And she's already special anyways. She's kind of different. And hopefully we'll see a little bit more into that because I've heard theories that she is psychic. Is that the truth? I don't know if that's going to be the truth in the TV show, but I've heard whispers that she's psychic and that she saw the murder before it actually happened. So we'll see what that is. Earlier than that, Alicent had come to Helena's room. And Helena, she just saw her child get killed and, these two guys were like roughing her up. It was just a whole moment of her just coming to the actuality of what happened. And Alicent wanted to talk about Helena busting in the room and seeing her screwing Criston. And Helena wanted none of it. She didn't even let Alicent get into that. She handed her something, I think like a blanket or something that she was making. And she just didn't want to talk about it. And so, then Alicent is talking about, look, we have to do this processional and all this stuff. She's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want those people near me, and I can kind of get that she's feeling something from the energy that people are sensing from her, and or she doesn't fully understand the extent of her position in the kingdom. And her as, queen, people want to feel connected to their queen. And you can tell that she is just really not comfortable with it. And now the reality of her position is coming into play. And she is starting to understand what her position is and what is expected of her. And you just kind of feel for her. Helena's probably the only one of the Greens that really, I really feel bad for because she was an innocent bystander. She really wasn't a terrible, horrible, wicked person. And I think that she's probably got, besides the kids, she probably got the purest of hearts over on that Green side. And it's just so sad. So sad. Okay. Blood and cheese. So they catch blood because I don't know what, I do not understand fully how the heck he had the boy's head in a bag and he was still in town somewhere. So they found him. Somebody found him and took him back to the castle. And they were trying to torture him and they got him to admit. And they got him to admit that he had an accomplice. And that accomplice was one of the rat catchers in the actual kingdom. But he didn't know the rat catcher's name. He didn't know. He just knew it was somebody, one of the rat catchers. And so Aegon meets with him. And, he gets that out of him or whatever. And then he bashes his brains in. That's the end of blood. That's done. Blood is done. Next thing you know, Aegon goes and finds all of the catchers, all the rat catchers in the castle. And he hangs all of them. And he hangs them, and he hangs their bodies outside of the windows of the palace. And so everyone in town is seeing these bodies of their brothers, their cousins, their fathers, their husband. They're seeing these bodies just hung outside of the palace doors. All around the entire castle. And it's gruesome. It's terrible to see. And Otto about blows a gasket. Otto blows a gasket, and he comes into where Aegon is with Criston. And we'll get back into Criston. Let's get into that, because I think first I want to say the actor that plays Criston Cole, he is phenomenal. He is amazing. He really makes me hate him. Okay? It really takes some talent and really devotiveness and just being devoted to the character. Like, I believe he is this character. This is him. But people, you have to understand, the man is just a phenomenal actor. He is great at what he does. I think that he is phenomenal as Criston Cole. I don't like what Criston Cole does and how he goes about certain things. However, I really like his acting. It's very believable. I believe in this character. This week, after that episode aired, the man's been getting all kind of death threats, all kind of this, and people talking about, oh, I hate you, I hope you died. All this, like, y'all have to understand, he is playing his part to a T. All right? To a T. The man getting death threats. So he disabled the comments on his Instagram, and that is just what that is. It's just crazy. But I guess that's what happens when you play your part pretty doggone well. Yeah, I think that'll happen sometimes. So Criston Cole is feeling remorse for several things. Like I was saying on the other episode, he really did not have a strong tie against his men in the Kingsguard. When I say that, he wasn't really being the manager, the supervisor, making sure they're at their posts, making sure they're doing what they need to do, because he was too busy off screwing Alicent. Every time he would get an opportunity, he was out there doing that. And then also someone pointed out, which I thought was very good, when Helena married Aegon, technically speaking, Criston Cole was supposed to be guarding over Helena as she was the newest queen. But, he just so happened to just keep guarding on Alicent. Isn't that interesting? Interesting indeed. So Criston Cole is feeling a lot of guilt, as he should, because he wasn't making sure that his men were doing what they were supposed to do. And he sure as heck wasn't doing what the heck he was supposed to do. Because in the last episode, all of the Kingsguard were in the iron chair room, or wherever that room is, that the iron chair is, and Aegon was sitting there, and they were all just getting drunk, all of them, Eric included. We're gonna get to him as well. So they were all there drinking, shooting the breeze, really not having a care in the world, not thinking about a care in the world, because he was just so lax, he was so young, and that was his idea of fun. Okay. So Criston Cole is seeing the blood of the baby, and he is feeling guilty. He should feel guilty. He should feel terribly guilty. And so he decides that he is going to let off some steam. And he goes and he sees out Eric. Eric is one of the twins, y'all. This is one of the twins, and one of them, they split because one of them went and followed and stayed with Alicent, And this twin is, the good twin. He's the one that followed Rhaenyra. No. It's the other way around. Sorry. The bad twin followed Alicent or stayed with Alicent. And then the good one that we like is Eric and Eric. It was an E and an A. Don't ask. And he finds Eric with an E. And he's like, he just starts going in on him out of nowhere. Literally like the clear blue sky. Going in on him, where were you that night? Why weren't you on your post? All these things. And so Eric is like, are you serious right now? Like, now you want to be a supervisor? Now you want to do your job? And, he turned around on him. He's like, well, I know where I was. I told you where I was. Where were you? And so Criston basically turns it around and gets in Eric's head and was like, look, if you want to clear your name and you want to really be able to, say that you are, with the kingdom, you're with King Aegon and everything, you need to go to Dragonstone and kill Rhaenyra. And I'm like, my mouth just dropped because I'm like, you just sent this boy on a suicide mission. You just sent the boy on a suicide mission. You sent him to Dragonstone to kill Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra is not going to be an easy kill. And Criston knew that. But I think he just wanted to let off some steam. I think he really wanted to let off some steam. And he wanted to feel better about the situation. He wanted to feel like he was doing something. Even though he is just as well to blame as Eric and the rest of them. He's just as much to blame. Maybe more so because he's the supervisor. He's the one that's over everybody. So yeah, Criston Cole is not my favorite person in this episode. Like, I do not like his character. He's too sneaky. He's too backhanded. He is spineless. I'm over him. But he's a great actor. Like, I would personally watch a movie of his if he's on a TV show or something else. After this, I would absolutely watch. I would. Totally would. Okay, so next character. Let's getting into Aemond. Now, Aemond is he's the Cyclops now. He's the one-eye guy. And he's the one that inadvertently started this whole war. After Lucerys' death, it was pretty clear Aemond was definitely to blame. So, Aemond in this episode, they show a scene where he goes back to his quarters or whatever. And he's reaching under his little coffee table and he pulls out a gold coin. And it's got like a dragon on it. And many are saying, I don't know how much of this is true or not, but many are saying that blood and cheese may have actually worked for him. Or one or maybe both of them may have possibly been working for him. Because the way the money, the coin was like hidden, it was not out in the open. It was like he had to reach in and through a little passageway and pull out the money. And so he's smiling to himself. Next time we see him, he's in a brothel. He's in a brothel, full-on brothel, naked women everywhere. He is naked, looking like a creature of the night. I don't know. He's naked and he's so skinny. He's just a skinny guy. He's a little skinny little guy and he just looks really awkward naked in the fetal position. So he's in the fetal position with his head on the lap of some, mistress lady. And he's just sharing his his sob story. And then so people were saying like this was like a parallel of him trying to have a mother type figure because his situation with his mom is so messed up. She does not like him. And I think Lucerys' death was probably an integral part in last episode 1, where you could see she kind of cuts to him as like, this is you're not a part of the council. You're not supposed to be here. She's very short with him. But she's kind of like that with all the kids. She's not nurturing her kids. So Aemond is talking to the woman or whatever. And, he's talking about how he's blamed for Lucerys's death. And he was saying that, his rage just, took over him and he just lost control. No, the truth is he actually lost control of his dragon. That's what he's not going to tell people. He lost control of his dragon. He was not controlling Vhagar. Vhagar was running that show. So it's kind of funny to see how he likes to frame the stories to other people. And then he's saying like, he knows that Blood and Cheese were sent there to kill him. And he is thankful that Daemon thinks of him as a worthy adversary, so to speak. And so that was it was just weird because he was naked, clearly. And he was in the fetal position and he's so tiny and just really skinny. I'm like, this looks just very weird. It's very weird. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we got to cut back to Rhaenyra and Daemon. I'm going to cut back to that. So word gets around about the baby's killing. And Rhaenyra is like, this is terrible. This is horrible. But they're blaming me. I would never, kill a child. I would never, sentence a child to death or nothing like that. And then Helena, she's such a, that's her half sister. Why would I just lost my own child. Why would I inflict that type of pain on someone else? And, she's going into this whole thing about, how, we had nothing to do with it. Nobody here knows why, these things are happening. And she kind of looks over at Daemon. Well, Rhaenys, the auntie or cousin, she kind of looks over at Daemon because she knows. And then he kind of gives like a little smirk to Rhaenys. And then Rhaenyra, looks over at Daemon and he's giving that same smirk. And so she's like, wait, what? It's like one of the funniest moments in the whole episode. So then they cut to, and then they're going back fighting. And so they're having this really big blowout argument. And I would have to say Daemon is one of my favorite characters next to Rhaenyra. Because it's just so deep. All right? Because it's just so deep when it comes to Daemon because it's never just black and white. He's got so many layers. Like he doesn't, they were showing in another tuber's videos, they were showing like, when Viserys was dying and stuff. Like he was in disbelief. He did not want to believe that his brother was dying and was in such bad shape. So him and Rhaenyra kind of went back and forth, and Rhaenyra just came out and said, I can't trust you, he claims that the killing was an accident. And she basically asked him, look, when you said for them to go and kill Aemond, what did you tell them if they did not find him? And he's like, it was nothing like that. But also in the first episode, in that scene, when they asked him, what do we do if we can't find Aemond? They cut the camera. They cut the camera, y'all. So it's quite interesting how the camera's cut because it could be left up to interpretation. We know how Daemon is. Daemon want blood one way or the other. Whether it be right, wrong, or indifferent. Like he wanted it for his wife, but also some would say that he wanted it for himself. And some may think, and that came up too as far as like is he jealous that he doesn't have the crown? He's claiming that he's claiming it for her. He even crowned her. But his actions are saying a lot of things. He's sending a lot of mixed signals. But Daemon does it. That is classic Daemon. So they have this big blowout and he just leaves. He leaves. Next meeting they have her older son, Jacaerys, wants to go circling King's Landing. She's already lost one son. She doesn't want to lose another one. But she sends Baela. And I feel like that was very selfish because Baela is betrothed to Jacaerys. And it's not safe for your son, but it's safe for your stepdaughter. Baela is not afraid, and she's ready to, to show herself as, being a part of the family and stepping up to the plate. But I feel like they could have guarded and been circling with their dragons together. But I also understand why Rhaenyra didn't let Jacaerys go. So that is interesting as that. I thought it was fascinating that Rhaenys, I'm on the fence with her because, again, last season she had the opportunity to just wipe out all the greens and she didn't do it. And I'm still kind of mad at her for that a little bit. But I would say that she understands Rhaenyra's fight. She's lost a child. She's lost the crown. And I feel like she's probably her main unofficial ally. And I think that Rhaenys wants Rhaenyra to win. And it's going to be one heck of a fight. It's definitely going to be one heck of a fight. So, okay, let's see. I want to make sure I'm getting everything in because this was a very jam-packed episode. I was almost, I was on the edge of my seat. So much stuff was happening, and I'm definitely going to watch it over again because I'm sure there's some other stuff that I missed. But, okay, going back to Eric and Eric. Okay, so Eric gets over to Dragonstone. And the prisoner chick that used to be dealing with Daemon and was also a prostitute, long story short, Rhaenyra lets her go. As she's leaving, she sees the second twin. Now, she saw the first twin. She saw Eric in the castle already. So she knows that he's there. How is he coming off of the boat headed inside the castle? So she lets original Eric know, hey, your brother's here. We don't see that. But it's pretty much, I would definitely say that it was pretty much put out there that she told him. So, bad Eric. Hightower Eric. He gets into Rhaenyra's room. And just in time for the other Eric, the good Eric, to come. And they duel it out. They duke it out. They duel it out. They're throwing out words. You broke us up. You broke up the family. Yada, yada, yada. Bad. They both are they're getting pretty messed up. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. And finally, good Eric, he slays his brother. And he's in bad shape, but it wasn't... It was not impossible for him to recuperate. But the fact that his brother was gone and then he was the one that did it, he would have never been able to live with himself. So he turns to Rhaenyra and he says, "Forgive me, my lord." And he falls on his sword. And you're just like, oh my gosh, this is just, it's too much. I cannot take it. So, to end things off, Criston Cole. So Criston Cole, he think that he big shit now, right? He goes and tells Aegon all the stuff that he's done. Otto sees the bodies outside. So now he's like, everything that I've done to try to put you on the up and up, to try to get the public opinion in your favor, you've ruined it. You've destroyed it. And Aegon, again, he doesn't understand his position. He doesn't fully understand the ramifications that are going to come from his actions. And so Otto is just utterly disgusted with him. And then Aegon was like, well, Criston Cole has stepped up to the plate. And Otto's like, what do you mean step up to the plate? And he tells him about how he sent Eric over there basically on a death mission. Basically on a suicide mission galore. And Otto just like, I don't think I've ever seen him so discombobulated. He is absolutely out of it. He was like, I don't believe you did this. This is reckless. This is so stupid. Like, he's throwing everything out there. And he basically, he's losing it because he's just like, you're ruining everything. All the plans that we had set, all the things for you to, to be able to rule. Otto's problem was, I think he thought he had more grip around Aegon than what he really had. He really thought he had, and I was waiting for this opportunity. I knew it was coming. That Aegon fired him. He said, give me the pen. Give me the pen. He's like, give me the pen. I'm the one that's been helping you run this thing. I'm the one that got you in that seat. And he tells him to give the pen to Criston Cole. And even Criston Cole is surprised as hell too. He's like, wait, what? You gonna make me the hand? I'm gonna be the hand now? Give them the damn hand. And Otto utters several things, but he's like, your father was right. You're not fit to rule. And I feel like in that moment, Otto feels like, dang, I should have given the crown to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra she would not have had this whole town in disarray. Rhaenyra should have gotten it, and I should not have given it to my grandson. He's regretting it. He is absolutely regretting it. So he goes and he's talking. Otto was talking with Alicent, and she's, oh my gosh, Dad, what are you going to do? And he's like, no, I'm leaving because I can't be here. I can't be here with this chaos and this craziness. And so he talks about, I forget what he said, but he mentions Daemon. Remember we talked about Daemon? That's the youngest son of Alicent and Viserys. And he's like, you still have a son out there who's good-hearted, who will listen to you, more than Aegon and all the others. I'm going to, probably, do that. He's like, you have a son out there, and it's just so weird. Like, why was Daemon sent away? I'm sure we're going to get to that somewhere, but that was just super weird. So she wants to now, confess essentially to her father that she's been sleeping with Criston Cole. And right as she's trying to confess, he's like, no, I don't, I don't want to hear it. I don't want anything else to hear of this. I do not want none of it. And so she keeps it to herself. And you see at the end of the episode, Aegon, she goes to go check on Aegon. She walks into the room that Aegon is weeping, y'all. Like, he is like wailing. His son is gone. He don't know how to rule. He done fired his granddaddy that taught him and was basically guiding him along the way. Everything is falling to shit. And he is just wailing. In that moment, he needed his mother to wrap her arms around him. Just hold him. You ain't even got to say nothing, bitch. Just hold him. Do you know this bitch turned around and walked out the room? Aegon didn't even see her. And I'm like, that was a whole opportunity for you to be a mom. That was a whole opportunity. So she leaves and she goes to her chambers, and Criston Cole is sitting on her bed waiting on her. So she act like, oh, she gonna hit on him, and because she frustrated or whatever, she hitting on him, and then they end up making out. What happened next? I'm so sick of Alicent. I'm so sick of Criston Cole. I cannot wait till he is taken out. Alicent is just confused and not a good mother. She's not. She is completely and totally alienated from her kids outside of what they can do for her as far as her position. Outside of that, she really don't care about them and what's got going on. So it's going to be real interesting to see, it's going to be interesting. I think they said episode 4 is going to be Dance of the Dragons. And I heard something to the extent of they're going to let the dragons duke it out. That could get real messy, y'all. That could get real, real messy. But that's my take. This is episode 2. I know that they keep changing the names around because it was something of Harrenhal, like the taking of Harrenhal. And that's where Daemon has left off to go. We know that he went off to go to Harrenhal to acquire it for Rhaenyra, more than likely. We know they're going to get back together. That's not even in question. But maybe they need this time apart. Maybe they need this time apart for a minute. So we shall see. We shall see. But Sunday is coming up soon, very soon, darling. So we will see. We will see. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the love and support. If you've got questions, comments, concerns, you can email me at info@ashsaidit.com, info@ashsaidit.com, and follow me across social at One Love Ash, the number 1 LOVEASH. And I will see y'all next week. Deuces.